All right, here we go. We are doing Unit 5, Day 2, trig equations with multiple angles. You do need a calculator, so make sure you turn your calculator on and make sure it is in degree mode. Okay, here are some things that are going to happen with rotations. So you're going to have multiple rotations here. So maybe you rotate around twice or you rotate around 3 times. So you're going to pause and use this slide, write it down, use it to help you. 2 rotations would be with 2x. So here, I'm thinking about 2 times x. 3 rotations would be 3x. This will tell you what to do. For 2 rotations, we're going to add 2 pi to each measure, then divide by 2. For 3 rotations, we're going to add 2 pi twice to each measure, then divide by 3. So let's set that up. I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. All right, here is my first equation. Sine 3x equals -1. So when you see the 3x here, you're thinking 3 rotations. Okay, let's think about -1 for sine. Sine is, so this would be like -1 over 1. Sine is O over h, and if we're thinking about it as a quadrantal, it's y over 1, right? Our hypotenuse is 1. So really, I'm looking for where is y -1. Y is going to be -1 down here at this point. I think that's the point there, 0, -1. So let's think about what is x? What's the angle measure there? That would be 3 pi over 2. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to find another measure, but I want to add 2 pi. So that would actually be 7 pi over 2. Then I want to add 2 pi again. And that would be 11 pi over 2. Now remember, if I'm adding 2 pi but I have a denominator of 2, it's really like 4 pi over 2. So I was getting a common denominator and adding that. So these are my angles. Now what I want to do with those angles is I want to take all 3 angles and I want to divide by 3. The reason I want to divide by 3 is because I have 3 rotations. So you're going to divide by the number of rotations. Okay, let's think about division. When I divide by 3, that's going to make all the denominators 6. So I'm going to get 3 pi over 6. And then I'm going to get 7 pi over 6. And then I'm going to get 11 pi over 6. I can simplify that 3 pi over 6 to pi over 2. And this will create the list of my final answers. So I should have 3 answers here because I really have 1 answer for x, but 3 rotations made me add 2 pi twice. So this is where I did that. Add 2 pi twice. Then divide by 3. So this is kind of setting you up for like, what math are you doing to find these? Let's try a number. Secant 2x equals 2 root 3 over 3. So first, as I'm going to think about secant, this is going to be 2 rotations. Let's think about secant. Secant is h over a. Because 2 root 3 and 3 are not sides of a special right triangle, we're going to get it back to its original ratio. So this would be 2 times 3 over 3 root 3. These would cancel. So we have 2 over root 3. So that's as far as h over a what I'm thinking. I want a hypotenuse of 2 and an adjacent side of root 3. Let's think about where secant is positive. So remember, all seniors take calculus. So secant is going to be positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. So we will have the adjacent side is root 3 and hypotenuse is 2. That's going to set you up for your angle. So you're thinking, okay, what is my angle? That would be 30 degrees in here. Okay, so let's think about what are my answers for x if that's 30. One would be pi over 6. And then the other would be all the way around into the 4th quadrant. So that would be 5 pi over 6. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. That would be 7 pi over 6. Okay, now this is 2 rotations, okay? This means 2 rotations. So I need to add 2 pi to each of these. Just 1 time for 2 rotations. So I'm going to add 2 pi to each of my angles. Now think, if it's 2 pi and I need a 6 as my denominator, I'm going to make that 12 pi over 6. Okay, so 1 pi over 6 plus 12 pi over 6, that is going to give me 13 pi over 6. And then again, 7 pi over 6 plus 12 pi over 6 is going to give you 23 pi over 6. So first I'm adding 2 pi to each of my angles. Now I want to take all of these and I want to divide by 2. So I'm going to do pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 13 pi over 6, 23 pi over 6. And I'm going to divide them by 2 because of my 2 rotations. So now my denominator is going to become pi over 12. So pi over 6, 7 pi over 12, sorry, these should all be 12s, 13 pi over 12, 23 pi over 12. I'm going to change this one denominator. This was a mistake, it should have been 12. Here's my final answer. One thing that might help you is maybe at this step you write a 2x here, since eventually you'll have to divide by 2 to get the 1x. That might just help you see, like, how am I getting from here to here? Those are my final answers. Okay, let's do one where we actually may need to use our calculator. Let's just talk about, like, when do we need to use our calculator. So this is cotangent. So I want you to go and put this over 1, and I want you to think of cotangent is A over O. We do not have a special right triangle with an adjacent side of 2 and an opposite side of 1. So as I'm even thinking, like, think about where those triangles would go. Cotangent, so if you're thinking all seniors, take calculus. Cotangent is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. So if I'm labeling my adjacent side as 2 and my opposite sides as 1, that is not a special right triangle. So because it's not a special right triangle, we're going to think about this as tangent. So we're going to rewrite it as tangent 2x equals negative 1 over 2. So I'm switching it because I'm going to have to use my calculator. So now I want you to rewrite this like we did yesterday using the inverse. So look what I'm doing. I'm rewriting using the inverse of tangent. Now, really, I'm going to be finding 1x here because I'm going to use my little rule. I'm going to add the 2 pi to it. So I'm going to find 1x here. Make sure, and I'll make a note of this, make sure what you use inside here, always use positive. Okay, so that is what you're going to type in your calculator. Are you ready? I have my calculator pulled up right here. I'm going to do second tangent of positive 1 over 2, and that's going to give me this value for x. So I have 0.464 is equal to x. Okay, let's go back to my triangles. Let's think about, like, what should I do with x? Well, if the triangle is right here, that's going to be pi minus x. If the triangle is in quadrant 4, that's going to be 2 pi minus x. So I'm going to write that here. I'm going to say pi minus x and 2 pi minus x. And I'm going to get 2 different radian measures. And you can just use your calculator to do that. So pi minus 0.464, 2.678, and then you're going to do 2 pi minus 0.464, and that will give you 5.819. So those would be my measures if I hadn't done 2 rotations. But remember, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I have 2 rotations here. So to each of these, I'm going to add 2 pi. And I'm going to add 2 pi to each of them. Let's see what we get when we add 2 pi. We will get, so I guess I could do this in the calculator. Let's take this number and you're going to add 2pi. So now we have 8.961. And the other time I'm going to take this value and I'm going to add 2. Okay. And I get 12.102. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring down my other values that I found because I need to divide them all. So this is first just, I'm adding 2pi to my original radians that I found, but I want to divide them all by 2 because of the 2 rotations. So you both have to add a 2pi to each one and divide by 2. I'm going to go ahead and write down the answers just for time's sake here. This is going to be 1.339, 2.910, 4.481, and 6.052. This will give you all of your answers. So it's the same with a calculator as it is without a calculator, but you will have them not in terms of pi, they will be in decimal form. Okay, let's try another one. Cosine 3x equals 1/2. This is another rotation of 3, a rotation of 3. So first, let's just think through cosine. Cosine is a over h. And I do have a triangle to represent this. So cosine, if I'm thinking all seniors take calculus, cosine is positive here and here, quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. So if I'm going to label my sides, my adjacent side would be 1 and my hypotenuse would be 2. So the angle inside of this triangle is going to be 60 degrees. Okay, so first let's just think about what those 2 spots in the quadrants are as radians. One would be pi over 3. The other would be 5 pi over 3. Okay, because of 3 rotations, I have to add 2 pi twice. So I want you to think, I'm going to add 2 pi, and I'm going to do it to both angles 2 times, twice. So if it's over 3, I'm really adding 6 pi over 3. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to get 7 pi over 3, and then I'm going to get 11 pi over 3. Now you're doing it again. You're adding 2 pi one more time to each angle. So that's going to give you 9 pi over 3 and 17 pi over 3. I made a math mistake. Sorry, this is 13. 7 plus 6. Okay, now remember, I'm not done with those. I have to take all of those and I have to divide them by 3. So think, I'm going to take every single one and divide them by 3. So I'm just going to show that in a different color. All of these I'm dividing by 3. So my new denominator is going to be 9. So you have pi over 9, 5 pi over 9, 7 pi over 9, 11 pi over 9, 13 pi over 9, 17 pi over 9. There's your final answer for all of those. So just make sure you're taking both steps. And again, you can see that on this very first slide. If you want to stop and do this, what should I do if there's 2 rotations versus 3 rotations? If you follow these rules, you will get them right every single time. Okay, the rest of the assignment is your homework. Those are the first 4 from your homework. Good luck.